Hello! Today I'm going to show you how to run sitting ducks on a modern Windows computer. Since it was made for Windows XP, I believe, it doesn't like to run natively. It can be a little bit tricky if you try to run it out of the box, so I'm going to show you the program that I use to run it and how I have it configured. So, first things first, your game files. Um, you'll just want to take these straight from the CD-ROM. It should look something like this. If you do not have a CD-ROM, they can be quite hard to find these days. You can come to another source online, for example, archive.org, that may have the game files archived. Do download at your own risk when you're on random sites, but I digress. So, the program we are going to be using now that we have our game files, dxwnd. This is a Windows hooker to run full screen programs in Windows, which is exactly what we need. So I'm going to go ahead and download this just so you get an idea what it looks like. Now, your browser may throw a fit with this file when you try to download it because it is a malware-like program in that it reads running programs' data and can modify them and change them in the background like malware would do. But you'll want to go ahead on your browser, make sure to keep it. It might throw a fit like this, keep anyways. And now we have the file. Wonderful. I do already have a copy of it here. It doesn't install like a typical Windows program, but you can just extract the .rar into a folder like this, and it should look something like this. It does not install like a typical program. You just outright run this exe here. So we'll go ahead and we'll run that, and now we just have a blank canvas here. So let's go ahead and tell it where our game is. We'll go ahead and go back to game files here. We have sittingducks.exe and overlay.exe. Now, this sittingducks.exe is just a game launcher. It should look something like this when you run it. But that's what launches the overlay.exe, which is where the actual program runs. So, what we're going to do is take overlay.exe, we're going to drag this here. And now it's going to come up with a window where we can configure it. So, I'll give it a name. You don't have to. Sitting ducks. Want to make sure run in window is checked and set the initial size. The maximum size supported by the game by default is 1600 by 1200. So I like to do that just so it's running 1-to-1. And then that's good. Now we're going to come over here to the video tab. Oh, I forgot to mention also, you're not going to see all these tabs until you come into options and right click on expert mode here. Alright, let's come back here and modify this. So, we got the name, we got the window position and size. Let's come to video here. I like to set the initial resolution here as well. Our 1600 by 1200. I don't know if you actually need to. And then here we also have an FPS counter, which I like. So we're going to put that on that title bar. Over here with the window handling, we can emulate win maximize. That should be checked by default, but if it's not, you want to make sure it is. And the window size and position floating is just fine. It lets you grab the title bar and drag it around like this. Alright, the very last thing we want to do is come in here and change the frames per second. So by default, it'll run just as fast as your CPU can go, which is nice, but the AI gets a little bit weird. So we limit it to 60 frames a second. So we're going to click limit, put in 60, and then check hertz. Make sure that is checked. And that will limit it to 60 FPS. So now we can try. And it worked. Our window popped up here on the other screen. Let me drag it over. You can see Sitting Ducks is running up there at 60 FPS. Got our loading. And we're in. Very nice. So, those are all the settings that I configure typically. And then, one thing to keep in mind, this does need to be up while you're running. Oh yeah, I do like to also start the sittingducks.exe. I don't know why the language on my install is weird, but I'll come in here and then we can set the resolution here. Obviously 1600 by 1200 is the highest, and that's what I chose in there, so we'll set that. I'll enable the vertex shaders, and then over here, high render distance. And then I will click play. We'll do it in French, that might be a little easier. Petit and grand. Yeah, good enough. And then play. So now we play it through here, it will have the updated settings, the higher resolution, and it will look better. And then just remember, whenever you play, you got to keep this dxwnd window open. You can just minimize it. But if you try to start without it, it'll be full screen and not be ideal. So other than that, if you are speedrunning, there is the live splitter, which is not too hard to set up. I'll go ahead and start the game here just so the music isn't playing. Alright, here's my live split. Looks something like this. We can see if we switch over to our sitting ducks capture, our beautiful game, and our live split. Let's come back over here. So, to make the live split work, what is going on with the languages? There we go. I'm going to come here and edit the layout. What you need is this scriptable auto splitter, which is available on the speedrun.com site for the game. But then once you have that, it will automatically split every time you finish a level or fail a level, which is a bug right now. But once you have that, you're pretty much good to go. I'll show you, for example, new game. The timer will start and then it'll automatically pause during the loading. Quite nice. Alright, I think we have everything we need. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or join the Discord. We can get you figured out. Have a good one.